Yes, everyone, good evening and welcome back to Forever United TV. Hope you're doing fine and fantastic on this Friday evening. Now, Ruben Amorim has had a press conference. Yes, massively delayed. You know what? Today I thought, we'll usually do a press conference. And if you are known to the channel and have been with us a while, you know that I'll cover the press conference live. I've been on these tours. I've covered Manchester United tours in depth before and they never go according to plan. So I thought, I'll just wait and just see. Lo and behold, what was it? 3.5 hours late. Later than scheduled, United had a press conference, and I just thought, you know what, let's just sit back and listen to Ruben Amorim for a change and hear what he's got to say. I've got all the other news and transfer speculation also coming up on the show, which I want all of your input on, everyone, so please do get into the live chat and talk to me on this fine Friday evening, everyone. Were you impressed with Rubens' response to quite a lot? A lot of people will look at the title of this video and say, Adam, what are you talking about? Amorim's warning to Manchester United rejects this summer. Well, that, I mean, and this is what I take from it. So we'll go on what Ruben said and we'll try and mix it in with the actual news which is going around at the moment. Because I did another video earlier on today about two of them so-called rejects. And if you didn't know what the rejects were, sorry, I should have elaborated a little bit on it. But if you are a big Man United fan, you will know as soon as I say rejects, you will obviously assume that I mean Anthony, Malacia, Ganacho and Sancho. I can't mention Rashford anymore because he is gone. I'm not going to mention that man's name again. Just did, but just to clarify what I meant by rejects, I've said it anyway. So, moving on to that. So, we did a video earlier on today. While I was out and about, and it was regarding it was regarding Malacia and Ganacho. Now, two of them players. So we're going to bring in what Ruben said from his press conference today with the news which was circulating from earlier on from a couple of journalists that were actually at that press conference this afternoon. And automatically, the first questions that come out of a press conference at this time of year: happy with the squad, players that have been brought in, you're looking to buy more, where do you need to improve, what positions, blah, 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 blah. Bollocks. Nobody cares. All we want to see is what happens on the pitch and the news that's coming. What Ruben says in pre-season really is completely irrelevant. And not completely irrelevant, but to what we really want to hear, it is. Because all we want to do is watch these players play and see where we're going to improve our squad. That's it. No one really wants to hear from Ruben Amorim right now because, let's be honest, this is the time of season when he doesn't really matter. He's doing his work behind the scenes. We'll hear what he says when it matters and the chips are down in press conferences throughout the summer. Throughout the season, not the summer. And that's when it will really matter for Manchester United. So, when we look at what's happening right now in the transfer window, and we look at what Ruben Amorim has said, I look at this and he's gone, and the big one from this, and every single journalist picked up on this, and everyone went in big on this in terms of where Manchester United are at this summer and the obvious players, the rejects that we said. And just to actually bring up, Ollie Whitwell has posted out a tweet on what Ruben said. He was there at the press conference. Whitwell's way of rounding this up was quite amusing compared to well, here we go. Let me just read two out here. So you got Chris Wheeler, who was there at the press conference today, and Ollie Whitwell. So I'm just going to read you the first two lines of each of their tweets from Ruben's response to the players that United are looking to sell. I think it was James Ducker who asked the question about moving these players on and how important it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, sorry on that. It might have been Disco Dave from the Mirror. I do apologise if I've got that wrong, but this is Chris Wheeler's opening line from his. Amorim open to bringing back some of the bomb squad. Amorim on outcast. That was Whitwell's. So they've all labelled these players in their own way. The bomb squad from Wheeler, the outcast from Ollie Whitwell. I call them the rejects from Manchester United. The players that Ruben doesn't want. So Ruben has said in this, if we reach a point that they have to join the team, they will join the team because they are our players. I know for a fact that Omar and Jason have a number for these players, i.e. the price. If clubs don't reach that, they will be Manchester United players, no doubts about it. There you go. But that there says to me, look, United have got their price on these players. That necessarily can get negotiated. But what this is also saying is there's a warning here that United, I think, are not going to buckle when it comes to selling these players. They're not going to buckle to what the player wants. So really, there's two big players in this reject squad that this affects more than anybody, and that's Ganacho and Anthony. both wanting World Cup positions. Rashford is exactly the same on this, and that's why he made this move happen by dropping his wages to go to Barcelona. Lucky boy, by the way, still. But Antony and Ganacho, now I feel this is a shot from Ruben Amorim, where he is really here saying that, look, we've got a price. They have to fall in line. And like we've gone back before, and what Ornstein said from all them months ago, you better pray that you find another football club. Because if them players come back to Manchester United, which he is going to, facts, that's what Ruben has said, quote unquote there, from what Laurie Whitwell has tweeted out, that is going to be, the fact is that them players are going to come back to Man United and be reinstated into the squad. There are players. He said that. I don't think they will, and I don't think anybody thinks they will. I think a lot of people are thinking Ruben's got to say that at this point. But what he's also doing there, I think, is he's saying to these players, look, you're coming back to Manchester United, and these players know that if they come back to Manchester United, they're not going to play. They're not going to get the game time necessary to get them into that World Cup squad for Brazil or Argentina. I don't think Malasia's got a cat in hell's chance, or Sancho's got a cat in hell's chance of making their respective national teams for the World Cup. They're not good enough. And I think I've proven that this season. Well, Malasia won the bleeding title in the Eredivisie, but still, like, nobody wants him right now. So when you look at this is where I think it's the warning. Going back to what Ruben said before, you better pray you find a football club, Ganacho. Antoinette, you're going to have to do something yourself to make a move to Betis happen, because if Betis don't come back with a price for Man United, and like Ruben says, he knows for certain that Jason and Omar, the men that are dealing with Man United's outgoings, they've got a price on the heads of these players, and if it's not met, they're going to be back in the Man United squad doing diddly squat. That being not playing enough football because there's better players in front of them. Ganacho does not stand a chance. And you know what? This actually links in with what Ruben said. When he said you better pray you find another football club, because he will let Ganacho rot for the next 2 years on his contract and just completely drift away from anything. He will not play Ganacho at all. He will get the Marcus Rashford treatment and he will be made to look like a bit of a fool. I'm still convinced that Ganacho is going. So if you didn't see the video that I put out earlier on, then you would have missed the news that Rob Dawson from ESPN was talking about the interest from Bayern Munich for Ganacho. Now, Bayern are in for Diaz, and I made the point in the video. It's more than likely them just covering themselves if they don't get Diaz. Like Barcelona didn't get Williams, didn't get Diaz, so they went for Rashford. Man United's players are third and fourth choice on the list of every single club right now looking at them, because they're not good enough. That tells you everything you need to know. If these players were actually good enough, and this goes to the fans that actually think that these players have got something, then why is nobody, if they are good enough, why is nobody coming in and buying them then? At reasonable prices, I think, as well. So you look at Garnacho's situation, Bayern. I think Garnacho's going to have to think outside the box sooner or later with where he wants to actually go. He wants to stay in the Premier League. Yes, he does. Great. But no one's put a bid in for you yet. And like United said, that price is going to be the price that United want, or you're back. Pray that you find yourself a club and you do something that club can do, that club can afford. Because your wages are going to have to be right for that club to afford you, because we want what we want for you. But I think this is the way that they're approaching it. You can look at it the complete opposite way, and I'm not stupid. You could look at this and this being a nightmare for United, and United just cannot sell, and people will go in on the club. We're useless at selling players. We can never sell players. Look, I bet that Ineos are able to sell the players that they have brought in at reasonable prices years down the line, no problem. What they're struggling with is the stupid prices that were put on the heads of these players that the previous regime bought in. And we all know this. You can argue the point all day long with me if you want, but they're the facts. They didn't buy any of these players that we're trying to move out because they're not good enough and they're overpaid. So that's the problem that we're dealing with right now. Garnacho, he's going to have to find himself a football club and push for a move very soon, even if it's not in the Premier League or he's not playing in the World Cup. That's it. That's it. Manchester United will let him rot. There is no problem at all. He's an academy player on basically peanuts compared to everybody else. It's no drama. They don't need him. They need his money, But Manchester United are not being taken for fools this transfer window. I think we've seen that clearly in the business that's been done already. They're not going to allow it. They're not going to allow it to happen again. And this, like Ruben said before in press conferences, is the transfer window that is going to set the foundation for Man United moving forward. They are not going to be bowled over. They're playing hardball with every deal, which is why it's taking ages. And Ruben even alluded to the fact that this could go right to the end of the window when these players move. It's down to them, I think. It's down to them players to actually now start moving things along, getting into their agents and trying to make things happen. I think that's an important way of looking at what's actually going on right now. And I think that we all do have to realise that United are doing work behind the scenes, and the work behind the scenes seems to be like they're just holding out. And they will keep on holding out. I'm happy that that's come out from Ruben. More on the Anthony one than the Ganacho one, because I am not concerned one bit about Ganacho. If he comes back, I think he'll be made to look like a complete fool by Manchester, because he's just not going to get into the squad. I think he'll go. In the end, I think Manchester United will let him go somewhere, even if it's a loan fee and he goes somewhere else with an obligation. United will do it, I think. He'll be gone. But Ruben's talking here like he's happy with his squad at the moment. I think there'll still be 2 more players come in. I'm starting to think that the striker might not come in because of the prices, but again, things will change like we said this morning. I have got a little bit of an update on Watkins as well coming up in this show, so stay tuned to that one. And when you look at the other situation with Malacia, which we spoke about earlier on, the Saudi Pro League, that's gold for Manchester United. And I explained in that video earlier that if the Saudi Pro League team comes in and bids 8 million for Malacia, everyone will be like, why are we not getting the 20, 30, 40 millions that everyone else seems to get for the crap players? It doesn't matter at this point. No one's going to buy Malacia. The transfer fees for Malacia have already been paid in full. We owe nothing on the transfer. His wages are about 70 grand a week. To get that off the book and get him over to Saudi, this would be gold for United. And I said in the video earlier on, this could help United make deals for other players. And we could sell other players because we've got rid of Malacia. The extra 70 grand in wages that helps goes towards bringing in a better player and saving a year 4 million or something like that, whatever it is. Then you're looking at obviously that 8 million, which could subsidise maybe taking a cheaper price off Jadon Sancho's transfer fee. Say someone bids 15 million and United have to use the Malacia money just to get him out and pay off his severance of his contract that he's on at United. He's gone. That's 20 million a year off the books with Sancho. Right there, you've got Malacia gone and Sancho gone and Rashford gone. You're pretty much over halfway through everything that we need to do. All you've got left then to deal with is Anthony and Ganacho. And you can fully concentrate on them players. But they're the 2 that I said at the top of the show that are important in this, because they're the ones that want to be in the World Cup. Malacia and Sancho, doesn't matter. Make weight deals, make that happen. Get them out the door and then move on. You've got room to bring in at least probably a midfielder off the back of selling Malacia and Sancho, because the midfielder obviously we've got a few more options that we're looking at. You could practically go out and buy Edison for 50 million if you got rid of Malacia and Sancho and sort the midfield out. That's where we're moving on to next, and that's the next point I want to bring up from what Ruben was talking about. So let's get into the comments section now. The first part of the show done and wrapped up, everybody. So thank you again if you are in with us joining. Thank you for all of the likes. Please keep popping them likes on the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, everyone. Keep it going. They're all free and they help the channel out massively. And let's get into some of this. Silverback says, oh, sorry. He's just saying hello to everyone. Amorim looked nervous. He said he will suffer. He said we will suffer again. That is not good. What happened to the good times are coming. We are ready, and we are not. We are not ready, and we won't be ready. Who is ready right now, though? Like, I'm listening. I've seen other people saying we're not ready. Man United are a lot more ready than what they were last season going in to the start of the season. Trust me on this one. And there is still time to do stuff. Ruben has got one press conference to really cover right now over pre-season, and he's done it. And he's just said the necessary. Don't be carried away. Don't get carried away by what Ruben has said there and look at it as a negative. Look, you can do, but still. The talk of the forwards being there and what we've got as an option up front, we're happy with the squad and all of that talk happens with every single manager. it happens all of the time. But behind the scenes, you know what's going on. There's a lot more work going on, and there is a lot that can still happen. So don't get too worried, and don't be put off by what Ruben said today. Interesting what he said regarding Bruno Fernandes, though. That is one that I wanted to pick out. Bruno's position. And Mainoo's position, for that matter, as well, he was talking about. So Bruno's position in Manchester United's squad is a key one, obviously, because a lot of people know that he's going to be pushed back. And Ruben said this. We sometimes miss Ruben in that 10 role, and in games it might change. And sometimes he'll play Bruno in the 10 from the start. That is interesting, because that then would probably see either Kuna or Mbeumo pushed into the number 9 role. And is that where we cover the situation with not having a striker? Therefore, if Bruno is going to feature at 10 a few more times this season, that leaves us a hole in midfield. Is that where Man United spend the money this summer in getting the midfielder in? Because he's alluded to the issue we have in midfield. He's brought up Kobbie Mainoo and what he's trying to work on with him. He's talked about Bruno Fernandes not constantly being in at the number 8, all in one press conference, and the post-match interview after the Leeds game the other day, which was dire, and we all thought the midfield looked shocking in that game. But I think the way Ruben's talking, he's talking down the road of a midfielder coming in. For me, I think that's what he wants. And again, I can go back to what Larry Whitwell said in The Athletic in saying that Manchester United are looking for an athletic, physical, attacking, ball-carrying midfielder to round it up. They want everything in a midfielder to come into Manchester United. I think that is going to be crucial for United also this season. So, when you look at everything that... let's just say, when you look at everything that Ruben has said there, when you look at what he's doing with Kobbie Mainoo, interesting response on that one alongside Bruno, in that he can get more out of Kobbie Mainoo. He sometimes likes him being deeper, where he can be on the ball constantly all the time, but he doesn't move quick enough. I think we've all picked up on stuff like that with Kobbie Mainoo going forward. So again, I think he wants Kobbie to become this player, but still not fully convinced. And let's be honest, if there's an opportunity that comes around to bring in a midfielder for Manchester United this summer, then United are going to go and do it. United are going to go and find that midfielder and make it happen. And we know that United will... we know that United have got plenty of midfield options lined up already. So, again, I am not being put off by what Ruben said there. I can see why people might be, but still... I think Bruno Fernandes and his comments and Kobbie, I think he's talking down the road of a midfielder, personally. I think that's where he's going with it. I'm going to talk about a few other things as well in a minute from what he said, but obviously we do still like to keep on top of the news as well. We brought you the Matias story earlier on. We also brought you the Ganacho story earlier on, the potential of moves there. Trust me, tomorrow there'll be more talk about Manchester United selling players and moving players on, and things will be moving back to normal. But it's because Ruben's spoken, and you're going to get the generic sort of usual responses from a press conference. From a man that really doesn't want to be answering them questions right now. He just wants to get down to training and get his team over the line this pre-season with no injuries and get into that opening day against Arsenal. That's all Ruben wants to do here. He doesn't want to be talking about the transfer side of things. That they all want that to be hush-hush and behind the scenes. We're all finding out because of the sources that are dropping all of the information constantly, and we're reading it. But Luke Shaw was another one. And again, he is a world-class player. Yes, on his day, he could be a world-class player. He's not world-class. He's very good when he's fit. But there is stories about Luke Shaw potentially also moving to the Saudi Pro League. Antony being open to the Saudi Pro League. All of a sudden, the Saudi Pro League has come into focus. And it's been talked about quite a lot more. But for certain players leaving Manchester United, look, I don't expect Luke Shaw to leave. Look, if Luke Shaw was, if we were offered $5 million by the Saudi Pro League now to take Luke Shaw, I'd snatch your hand off. Gone. Malacia, $8 million. Gone. Get him off the books. There's another 200 plus a week in wages off the books there, and another 12 million in the bank account, 13 million in the bank account. Get them gone. Make the room in the squad, like we've said. It all goes to bringing in the one player that Ruben needs in each of the three key positions, like Romano and Ornstein has said. Keep a midfielder striker. It helps. it's massive for United because it clears the books with the wages. It allows us to offer that player that contract, and then we can really get down to negotiating with them few pennies that we've actually made from selling these players. So, yeah, Luke Shaw to the Saudi Pro League. Is it time to move Luke Shaw on? Can we move Luke Shaw on? To be honest, I think this would be the only sort of club or league that would take Luke Shaw right now. Take a gamble on him being fit. Look, he's fit now. We'll probably expect to see him play against West Ham tomorrow night. Again, I think we'll see quite a few players playing. So, Luke Shaw to get through a full pre-season off the back of being fit for the last month and a half of last season. I can't even remember the last time. Perfect time, though, to sell him. Get him gone. He looks fit now all of a sudden. Let's get rid of him quick before he drops down again. Because you know that'll happen through the season. But no, I mean, Luke Shaw, jokes aside, with what's happening with him. Look, there are opportunities with the Saudi Pro League now coming in. And let's not forget, a lot of their business started to get done last transfer window when August came around. So I think it's important to remember their sort of timescales and when they usually do this. Remember, everything went down. There was so many deals that happened right on the last knock-ins as well of deadline day because of the Saudi Pro League. There is definitely room for manoeuvre for Manchester United yet with that. And again, going back to what Ruben said in the press conference there, he also mentioned that United could have deals happening, or something could happen down the line in the last few days of the transfer window. So yes. Amorim also on the healthy squad. It's important to have a healthy squad and a healthy group. We will suffer, but having this unity is really important. Rubens' definition of suffering, I don't know what it is. I think what is, honestly, if he puts us through another season like he did last season, then he's gone. He's going to get sacked. So we're not going to suffer, Ruben. You will. Suffering, I don't know. Does he mean that the players are going to have to suffer because they're going to have to do more? He also talked about the players wanting or having to play one game or all of the games. Kind of cryptic again from Ruben Amorim. I think he's alluding to there, like, you have to be prepared to play that one game if you want to play all of the games. Something along them lines. Are the players going to have to go through a little bit more suffering? Maybe it's not the fans this time. Like the chat just said a moment ago, what happened to the good times are coming at Manchester United? We can't wait another season. So let's see what he's bringing with that. And again, I do believe that there is still so much more for Man United to do this summer and could still be done. I really do think that United have got a lot of business to do and they will get a lot done. Do I think everything's going to be done? No, I don't. I'm not stupid. I'm realistic. But the Saudi Pro League could play a massive part for Manchester United. It really could. If Anthony's open to the Saudi Pro League because he's not going to get a football club in Europe that's going to pay United the money, and like Ruben said, Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox, sporting director and CEO of United, if you didn't already know, have got a price for all of these players, and they will get that price. Otherwise, the player is going to be back at United. And back at United for these players, like as I said before, that means that there is no football. That means that there is no World Cup this summer. And that means that valuation drops. Bad for United, but again, I think United are using the World Cup and playing it to their advantage this summer. I think it's a gamble, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's the best way to go, but United's circumstances are completely different to everybody else's in this transfer window. Nobody else has got this amount of players that are not featuring for the club that are on so much money that they want to get rid of. Ruben was asked whether it devalues the players, actually, if everybody knows that the players are on the exit list, let's just call it, for Manchester United. Will it lower the price? Will it affect him? And Ruben doesn't think so. Of course, again, when Ruben's answering a question like that, you kind of know that the whole press conference it's not staged, but you know what's coming. Everybody knew the answer to every single one of them questions that came in. Do you need another striker? We're happy with our squad. Do we need another midfielder? Well, Kobe Mainoo can do this and Bruno can do that, and then players can move forward and we'll take it in the game. Everyone's going to be fitter. We're a happier group because we've got rid of all of these players, and this is where the club is and the squad is going to suffer as well. Like, it's just all set up, ready to go. You know what's coming, and I haven't got a problem with him saying it that way. I just feel like with stuff like this, people can sometimes get a little bit carried away or concerned by what the manager or the coach has said when they really shouldn't be, because it's just all the ready-made generic sort of responses that you would expect. That, I think, is what we've witnessed there in that press conference in a large part. On Kobe Mainoo, quickly, I'll just bring up the quote that he did actually say, Ruben Amorim. I think that he is a big talent. He's the best. His best position is close to the ball. I think he needs to increase the rhythm, the pace. I am always on that with Kobe. He can be better. I get it. He can definitely be better. We all know this. He was inconsistent last season. There was a lot of disruption. I think everybody at least this summer with that Man United squad knows exactly where they stand going forward. And I think the isolated players, and a big part of that, has really, I think, set up the mood and the tone for how this season's going to go. You're not going to get what you want under this regime and coaching. You're not going to get it. You're going to be sat on the sidelines wondering why you're not playing football anymore. And then the reality will kick in and it will tell you it's because you didn't find the club, because you weren't the player that Ruben wanted. Welcome to a big football club. You're not going to play every single week. You're going to be subbed because there's always somebody waiting to take your position, Mr Ganacho. Accept that you're at United and you are not God's gift to all of football, and you might have survived. I really fear for Ganacho if he doesn't find a football club, though. I could see it now, honestly. I'm not ruling out Ganacho not being sold, but I could see Ganacho going on loan. I could. It's not going to help United, but at the end of the day, United want all of these players gone. They're not going to use them. Like I just said, I think deals will be made for all of these players. I don't see any of them return. I think Rubens just answered that because he knows that will be the case if the unthinkable happens, which is that none of these players find a new club. But I think he's pretty confident that they are. I actually don't think Ruben would come out and make a comment like that unless he knew that something was happening behind the scenes. But again, going back to what I said earlier on, interesting how he said that Jason and Omar have got prices for these players and they know what they want. Let's see if they can get this. And I think, again, like I've always said, from the start of this window, judge it at the end when everything's done. And then we'll have a pick at what they've done and a moan and a bitch about everything that's happening at United in this transfer window and what Ineos are doing. That's the right time to do it, not now. Let them do what they've got to do and let's see what happens going forward. In the chat, would you take 5 million for Luke Shaw right now, or am I being ridiculous on that? I'm open to you hitting back at me as well. Don't worry. I'm not going to have a go at you. I'm not going to ban you. Just don't be abusive, and then you won't get kicked off by the mods, who are only here to make the chat flow, by the way, everybody. Don't take it out on them. But if you are abusive, you're going to get kicked out. So come back at me and come back with some constructive criticism. Please be nice to everybody else as well while you're talking in the chat, please. Tony Tone says, no striker and goalkeeper will be the cause of the issues this season. Yes, the system might be under scrutiny, but the Chuckle brothers still here. It's going to be an issue. No, you can't call them the Chuckle brothers, first of all, Tony. That goes to Lindelof and Maguire. We cannot take that title away from them. And so calling Onana and Rasmus the Chuckle brothers, I cannot have. But I get exactly what you're saying, though. I don't think them two... by the way, a goalkeeper will come in. I will be absolutely gobsmacked if a goalkeeper does not come into Manchester United. They've sent Vitek out. They've sent Harrison out. They're looking to sell Bayindir. There's no way that Bayindir is good enough for Manchester United as a number 2. And I know we all know the problems. I think he'll be sold next summer. But a number 2 will come in to push Onana aside. I think Sene Lamens will be a United player by the end of this window. Going off everything else that's happened with Martinez. Unless, like I said, Manchester United go in and say to Aston Villa, there's Garnacho. How much do you want with Garnacho for Watkins and Emi Martinez? Bish, bash, bosh. Freeway. Out goes Garnacho. In comes your striker and your goalkeeper. Samuel Luckhurst this afternoon actually said, who is out on the tour, that Manchester United will not look to bring in Emi Martinez because they don't want a goalkeeper to come in and demand bigger wages. They want to bring the wage bill down. United are also happy with the striker situation as it is. and all of our hope for a striker went out of the window when Liam Delap was sold to Chelsea by Ipswich earlier in the summer. I would love it for Samuel Lucas on his side of things, for his sake, that I would love it if United did go out and buy a striker just for him, so everyone could laugh at him for saying that. I don't believe that is the case. That's why I'm saying it. I've got no problem with Lucas, but I think he's just jumped on the doomsday train there with them comments and come out and just gone, this is it, United are not going to buy that goal, you're not going to buy that striker, all hope is lost for this football club. Like, no, it's not. Stop talking crap, mate. Come on. It's better. Like, you could have worded it so much differently. Wait for the opportunity, like Romano and Ornstein. Romano and Ornstein know more than any Manchester United local journalist anyway, so I would always look at what Romano and Ornstein said. I look into some journalists and what they think, like Lloyd Whitwell from The Athletic, Carl Anker as well is a good journalist sometimes. All the journalists that are at that press conference are good journalists, and they do a lot of work in and around Manchester United. But when it comes to big transfers, it is Ornstein and Romano that are the ones that are always going to be getting the actual exclusives and the ones and the bombers, as we call them, the big ones. Interesting line before I forget to bring up from the press conference, and this is the characteristic side of thing that Ruben has brought into Manchester United, in particular with Matias Kuna. And did you all hear his comments? Remember what Cunha said? Remember what he said in that press conference? It's not a pressure, it's a privilege. Who else said that? Where did that line come from? Roy Keane. That's where that type of line comes from. It's a privilege to pay for Manchester United, not a pressure. So if you're feeling that pressure, being a United player, you are in a privileged position because you've been chosen to represent Manchester United. That's the player that's going to give us absolutely everything. And automatically, I'm going from Ganacho, who is bitching about what he didn't get rewarded for, to South American TV after the last game of the season, to Matias Kuna, who is saying that pressure is a privilege. That straight away changes the mindset in Manchester United's squad. You're going up to Ganacho and Rasmus Højlund bitching and kicking goalposts because Ganacho isn't giving him the ball in the box. I guarantee you won't see any of that petulance nonsense from Rasmus Højlund this season if he stays, if Matias Kuna misplaces the pass, or Brian Mbeumo. You've got experienced leader-type quality players there, either side of him. If he doesn't learn from that, there's no hope of him ever featuring at the top level of football again. And that change from Ganacho to Matias Kuna is absolutely massive for Manchester United. So let's not forget that. And by the way, on the other side, you've got a combination of Ahmad and Brian Mbeumo. Yeah, let that sink in just a little bit. That's United's right-hand side now. A player that has run more than anyone else in the league, in Brian Mbeumo, and a man that's got more creative quality when coming from a deeper line position than anybody I've seen at Manchester United in years, in Ahmad. And I said this months ago. I can go back to the video, and I said to everyone, and I got so much dog's abuse for saying that Ahmad will be a right wing back this season. I think he'll play at 10 as well. And I think Ruben, like he said, will rotate everything. But Ahmad at right wing back and Brian Mbeumo as the right 10, with Dorgu and Cunha, maybe even Leon and Cunha, and maybe even Dalot and Cunha at one point, whatever it may be, on the other side. All of a sudden, United have got power, pace and creativity on the wings. If Rasmus doesn't succeed with that, then, like I said before, there's no hope for him at the top level. But what that team does need is, in front of that solid defence, which it is, I feel. Actually, the defence, I think, needs someone in front of him and someone behind. So if United cannot get a striker, let's go out and get that midfielder. I heard Rio Ferdinand talking about Belabra again today from Brighton. He does seem to be the ideal player to come to Manchester United for what we need right now. He is a Ruben player, isn't he? It's going to cost a fortune for Manchester United to get someone like him. But why don't we just look at what's out there available in midfield? Because I think that market is completely different. And that wide area of United's game, the left and the right, and how good it actually is, with something in the middle as well adding a bit more quality, that's a game changer for United this season. It really is. And you never know. We might go and approach someone like, say, PSG for Kolo Muani, or what's we're talking about here, Gonzalo Ramos, I forgot his bloody name then, as a striker. Late loan deals for big clubs like that to move players around. Don't count that out. Manchester United would be open to taking a loan for a striker or a midfielder this summer. So just hang on in there and don't jump the gun with it. Ruben has got a plan of what he wants to do. It's like he said, he's excited for the future. He's excited for what he can create, but there is going to be a lot of pressure on from game one, and it is a hard competition, the Premier League. Dead right with that one. Absolutely bang on the money. Anyway, let's get into some of your chats on this. First of all, a couple of super chats that I've just floated in. Leo, who's your midfield choice? He's just renewed his membership after 16 months. My midfield choice, I've always gone, I think, with... I've gone with midfield of Paulinho. I like Paulinho. I'm moving away from Javi Guerra. I just don't think it's the right player at the moment. I'm not saying he's not good enough, but I just don't like that. Also in midfield, like I said, there are the obvious good ones. I love Edison. Baleba would be absolutely superb for Manchester United. Wilfred Ndidi, he's bottom of my list again. I don't like the sound of that one, but I get why Man United might actually be in. We need to sort the midfield out. Is another mega super chat there from Mojo. Yeah, again, like pretty much echoing what Leo said there. Midfield seems to be a hot topic. Now, there was also another story going around today from a couple of journalists, and yes, it was Italian based, but Douglas Luiz on loan. Now, have you seen the Douglas Luiz situation? I'm only bringing this up because Leo likes Douglas Luiz. Raws have seen your super chat. I will come back into it in a minute, mate. And thank you again, London, for gifting them memberships. But did you see the Douglas Luiz situation? He's leaving Juve. Well, he's making it clear that he's leaving Juve because he's not turning up for training. And Romano has been all over this. Manchester United could potentially look to loan with a loan fee for Douglas Luiz, and that I think is something really important. Amorim on exiles. I understand the clubs are waiting for the last minute. Yeah, so just going back to that again there. There's a sentence. This has just come out right now. I'm going to get back to the midfield section in a minute, but this has just come out from Laurie Whitwell in the last 5 minutes actually, but this is what Laurie Whitwell says. There's a sense that some players want to wait until the final stages of the transfer window, hoping their market value will decrease amid the pressure Manchester United may face to complete the deals. There is a belief that Ganacho is prepared to wait and see what happens later, hoping his value will drop. However, his desire to play for Argentina in the World Cup remains a priority. I think Laurie Whitwell's been listening to the show. That's what I just said. It's exactly what I think is in play here right now. If he wants to be in that World Cup, he needs to find the club quickly. And United know this. United know this. For any player like Garnacho to miss a World Cup, a big one like this in the USA, that's massive. I think United are playing on this big time. I really do. But just quickly to go back to the Douglas Luiz story, United to take him on loan. See, they are thinking about these creative factors. And this is what people need to remember. When talking about Jadon Sancho, this deal hasn't been done yet. What are United doing? Why are we not getting these deals finalised? For God's sake, what's going on? There is other things that could be in play. And that could be the likes of a deal being made by Manchester United for another player. Possibly a loan player. Something like that, like Douglas Luiz on loan with a loan fee and covering his wages for Juve. If they've got a problem with him, he's still got a big contract there. We'll take your wages away. He's on 80 odd grand a week at the moment. We'll gladly take them wages and bring him to United for a season. And then we haven't got the commitments the following season. Therefore, Casemiro has gone, giving us the money to then go forward. Douglas Luiz will probably give us a bit more this season as well. That's still on the cards for United, and that still can be negotiated into a deal this summer for us. So don't give up completely on Man United finding a way around getting someone in this midfield yet. Still plenty of time. Rawls with a super chat says, getting Shaw off our training table and bench for 5 million is a steal. I would take that every single day. Yes, I think a lot of people would. Thank you for them super chats, Mojo and Rawls, and Leo for renewing. Also London for dropping in a gifted membership also. Let's get some more comments in here, everybody. Ricardo says, signing Watkins is just making the same mistakes they made in the past. Like Ranieri said, young players first or second contract players, people looking at the past 3 years and not the next 3 years. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Signing Ollie Watkins is not a mistake by Manchester United, by the way. It really isn't a mistake by Manchester United. You're getting a proven goal scorer in the Premier League for the next 3 years. His injury record is exemplary, and he is going to give Manchester United what they need to get back up there. All the while Chido coming in behind him can prosper and learn from one of the recent Premier League great goal scorers and strikers in Ollie Watkins. Great might be a bit of a push, but you know what I mean. A consistent goal scorer in double figures every season, the last 3 seasons, at the highest level, is gold. And Ollie Watkins at 29 is not a mistake. I'm telling you now, it's not a mistake. You will see, obviously, you could have Ollie Watkins there for 2 or 3 years while Chido is developing into the player that we need him to develop into. And then United could just transition instantly. We might not even have to go out and buy another striker because Chido has developed to that point of learning off a quality striker like Ollie Watkins. That can all happen. It can. So I get what you're saying there on that, Ricardo. I'm not saying it's a bad comment or anything, but I just disagree. I disagree that it is a point now where United are at where they have invested so much into the future, but without that experience around them, coaching can only go so far. It's that nous and understanding and experience of them big players that really do help out the younger lads in this squad. A couple more chats coming in, a couple more super chats coming in. First of all, from Brits Abroad, thank you, buddy. Message to our young fan base: softly, catchy monkey, which means be patient. I have total faith in Amorim, in Ruben. We trust. Come on, the Reds. I like the positivity, Brits. I like it. Another mega one in from Mojo. Thank you, buddy. Really do appreciate that, mate. Given we take almost 6 weeks to close deals, we would now be looking at loans and free agents, and I don't believe we will sign a striker after Amorim's statements on Højlund and Xerxes. Yeah, he did say that we have got Højlund. He did say we have got Xerxes. I'd expect him to say that. Like I said earlier on, don't expect Ruben to be slaughtering any of the players that are currently on tour with him right now and saying they're not good enough and we need a striker in. He's always going to say the press conferences in the summer are a nightmare for managers. They don't want to talk. They'd rather get all the business done, and you'll see how awkward the conversations are for Ruben in the first 3 games of the season in the pre and post match press conferences that he has to do, because everyone's going to be talking about the transfers. It's a horrible time for managers this now when the games start coming back, because they're going to be asked stupid questions that they don't want to answer. That, I think, is something. But yeah, Xerxes could have a season this season. Rasmus could improve. You don't know. I haven't got faith in that, and I would like another striker to come in. But I just don't see it. By the way, everybody, I know it's a different time. The press conference has come on and it's kind of mixed up the normal content. I know it's a Friday night and people are out, but thank you again. Amazing job with all of the likes. Absolutely love you all. Brilliant. Get them up. Keep liking the video if you're loving the content. Obviously, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, people. If you like the other side of it and not the doom and gloom side of it, this is the channel for you. Very balanced and very down to earth, I would say. And to the point. Let's just say it as it is. Spade's a spade. I go back to what that comment was earlier on about Ruben looking a bit nervous. Like I said, I expect that for managers at this stage, because he's got a lot of business done, a lot of good business done, but he still wants more. And he doesn't want to be talking about it. He would ideally like to get everything over the line, but it never happens for any manager. You show me one manager that looks comfortable in the position that he's in this part of the season right now. 10 gifted memberships from Mojo. He's had an absolute stormer tonight. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. Absolute legend, mate, for doing that. Appreciate it, my man. A story in the chat. Have any Cesco fan in here really watched him last season? I think it's all on reruns. Like, the Bundesliga is on Sky now, so you could watch a bit more. Look, get me wrong, he wasn't the top striker in the Bundesliga last season. I know what people are going to say about Benjamin Cesco, but he could be an absolute diamond for Manchester United. you're just never going to know. You're never going to know that, because it's too much of a risk with the money and where United are currently at. This is why I think Ollie Watkins, United would spend that money because they know what they're going to get. That's the thing. Boxing says, I'd take Watkins, but 40 to 45 million is very fair price. More is a bit over the top rip-off. Yeah, I agree. I think United will try and haggle that Watkins price down. I think that will be what happens. They'll transfer arm, and we'll see what happens. Like, Watkins' price could come down. Earlier on, I was talking about the midday video on Malacia and Ganacho, and I did mention that there is some Ollie Watkins news in there as well. Now, there is a report going around from unnamed journalist from an account online saying that Ollie Watkins has told Aston Villa that he would like to leave. Now, I don't know how true that is, and I did mention in the video earlier on, I'm still not fully convinced by the source of that story. I don't think we should be taking it and running with it as like Watkins wants out of Villa. Here we go. This is going to start pushing things forward now. If Watkins puts in a transfer request, everything is on. That's it. Are we going to get to that point? Are United going to get into Watkins enough to say, we want you, do this, and then we will reward you in a different way? Because when a player puts in a transfer request, they lose all of their incentive bonuses, and everything like that just gets wiped clean off their original contract that was made with the club. So that is something that we're going to have to be very aware of when it comes to Watkins. I think if he puts a transfer request in, it definitely means that he's committed to going to United, because he's losing all of his contract bonuses and all of them incentives are gone. That's usually what happens. That's the rule of thumb, I think, with transfer requests, particularly with the actual contracts of the players themselves. So again, yeah, that's where we're actually at with Ollie Watkins right now. They want too much. United's price is about 20 million cheaper, and they're hoping that Ollie Watkins would kick up a little bit of a stink. Watkins is a model pro, not a boozer, hard trainer, good time keeper, a great role model for our youngsters. Just got married. What's not to like? I know. United will be lucky to get to top 10 at this rate. Disagree. I'm not expecting it to be swashbuckling, brilliant football competing, but this team is different. It's completely different. And I think it will perform better this season. I really do. With just the signings that we've made already, I think with just Brian Mbeumo and Matias Kuna through the door, I still think Manchester United are a different proposition altogether. Signing Watkins shows our decline. Would you have said that it was a decline for Arsenal who wanted to buy him 6 months ago? If they bought him? No, it wouldn't. And if Watkins, like I said, performs for 3 years for Man United and helps us sustain Champions League football in the future, then the comment looks ridiculous, doesn't it? It looks stupid. Right now, it's easy to say that because United are down in the doldrums, but United do have to play a little bit of a gamble here as well this summer, and we've said this all along. We do. Let's just double check the actual headlines that are flying around everywhere just to make sure we haven't missed anything from the transfer side of things anyway, while things have been going on. It's just again, yeah, I've seen that Laurie Whitwell quote there. And the fact that I said, like, some players will want to wait it out and see what happens, thinking that plays into their advantage, that their valuation will drop and United will have to succumb to what they want. Look, I think United will just play it all the way till the end. There's no rush for Manchester United with these players leaving. The only problem that does bring, obviously, is the fact that we do need to move players on. But go back to what Ornstein said a few days ago. What did he say? United could wait it out until the end of this window and sell all of them players. Yeah, that doesn't give us time to bring other players in. No. But could Man United actually go out in January and get some more players? With what we've done transfer-wise in selling these players at the end of the window this summer, yes, we could. And that is still a play for Manchester United in all of this. So don't be surprised if United actually do start moving a little bit more when it comes to the players coming in January as well, is what I say. Peter says, just get a midfielder and a goalkeeper. That our first team players, forget the striker, none left. Mateta and Felix on loan, I wouldn't mind. I think Felix is on his way to Benfica, and Palace would never loan us Mateta, Andrew. He's only got 1 year left on his contract, so that's basically them giving that player away for nothing. So there's no chance that will happen. Luke Shaw and Maguire leaving would be an absolute best thing for us possible. Not the best possible. Like Sancho, Antony, Ganacho and Malacia all leaving at this point would be the best thing possible, because that would give us room and money to go out and buy the players that we want. Don't count out the striker just yet. It's like just all the talk and Ruben saying we've got Zirkzee, we've got Rasmus, Cunha can play there, Bruno can play there, Mbumo can play there. I know all of that talk's there, but still, I do believe that Manchester United are actively looking for a striker, and I think they will try again for Ollie Watkins this window. I do think that there will be a push for Watkins, and we'll see. I think United will test the resolve, but I think there's got to be something from Watkins' side of things to make this happen. Look, we have run the show. That is our normal time done, everyone. Thank you so much. Didn't think we'd get to 50 minutes there on that video, but a lot to talk about and a lot of great comments there tonight. Thank you, everyone. Super chats. Mojo in the chat there absolutely smashed it, as well as Leo for renewing his membership. Raws with a super chat. Obviously, London as well. Thank you, everyone, for all of your comments. Please do hit that like button on the video. Let's see how close we can get to that 500 mark before the video just finishes up. Hit that subscribe button as well. We're on the march. Our next target is 93,000, everybody. We are just a few hundred away from that already. We surpassed our target of getting to 90,000 before the start of the season by a mile. We're now looking at the silver play button, which is absolutely crazy. And that's because of you lot and all of your support. Subscribing and liking videos is completely free, but it means a lot more to the channel than just that. It just means that you have got the support. You are supporting the channel through everything, through all of the content, and you'll be notified of all of the content coming up through the season. We have a big season planned for everything on FUTV coming up. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now, and we're growing, everyone. We're growing, so thank you again. It's all down to you that we are where we are, and I appreciate you a lot. So please do, obviously, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video. Check out the links in the description for your retro shirts and everything on the OK jerseys. And obviously our Match Bingo Match Day sponsor for the game tomorrow night. All of the info will be on it as soon as you scan that QR code, download the app, deposit £5 and get all of your extras on top. It just flows. Get onto it, everybody. Cheers, everyone. Mods, fantastic job as always. I'll see you all bright and early in the morning for your Saturday morning updates. Enjoy your Friday nights. I will see you later. If there's any news that does come out later on,